All things Mavs.
On today's episode of All Things Mavs, I'm answering all of your questions. And if you want your question answered on the next Dallas Mavericks mailbag, all you got to do is scroll down to the comment section, use hashtag Mavs, and then ask your question. And you could get it answered by me on the next Dallas Mavericks mailbag. Let's start off with this first one coming from Legend MLS. He asks me, do you think that KP or someone has to step up because Luka carries in the fourth quarter of every game? Well, let's pump the brakes there a little bit. Because Kristaps Porzingis has definitely stepped up all throughout the bubble. Now, it's only been 2 games. I get that. But his stats have looked amazing next to Luka Doncic. So saying that he needs to step up is kind of unwarranted. Right now, Kristaps Porzingis is averaging 34.5 points per game and 12 rebounds in the first 2 games through the bubbles, along with 2.5 blocked shots. Now, Luka, on the other hand, averaging a 30-point triple-double, as I predicted on this show. But his three-point percentage has been abysmal. So it's not really about Luka or KP stepping up in the fourth. I really, truly don't think that's what it is. What it is that third guy. Who's going to be the third guy to lead this team in scoring throughout the game? And so far, it's been extremely inconsistent. In Game 1, Trey Burke put up 31 points, but Game 2, he puts up 4 points, averaging 17.5. In Game 1 for Tim Hardaway Jr., he put up 24 points. The second game against the Phoenix Suns, 2. And then Seth Curry. The first game, terrible, 3 points. And then all of a sudden, it's 16 points. And then you get Boban, who's consistently putting up about 7 points per game, but he's barely playing. So I'm not worried about KP. And I'm not worried about Luka Doncic. I'm worried about the rest of this team stepping up in the fourth quarter and the rest of this team stepping up throughout the entire game. Now, when you look at the clutch stats, get your barf bags ready because it's about as ugly and disgusting as you're going to see in the league right now. Their offensive rating, although number 1 in the NBA for their entire game, is 29th, second to last in the NBA, behind only above the Detroit Pistons. Their field goal percentage is at 36.7%, 27th in the league. Three-point percentage is the worst at 21.4. The free throw percentage is down near the bottom at 70.4, and their record, as in the games decided by 5 points or less in the final 2 minutes of a game, 14 and 23, just 25th in the league. There's definitely a big problem here, but I don't think it's Luka, and I don't think it's Kristaps Porzingis. It's the rest of this team, and why can't they give us some kind of answer, and why can't somebody step up? So who are you blaming for the clutch losses that the Dallas Mavericks have suffered, especially in these last 2 bubble games, but really all season long when you look at the record? Who are you blaming? Is it Rick Carlisle? Is it Luka or is it KP? Or is it somebody else on the team? Maybe it's the defense. Whatever you think it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, before I keep going with this mailbag, I want to tell you about our friends over at Fanatics, trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you healthy, and trying to help you keep repping the Mavs by wearing a Dallas Mavericks face mask. When you go to chatsports.com/MavsMask1, you can get these face masks today at Fanatics. Whether you want 1, 2, 3, or 4 face masks, you can go get them at Fanatics today. Now let's keep it rolling here with our mailbag, our Dallas Mavericks only mailbag. This one is from Duleve. I think that's how you pronounce that. I could be way off. I don't know. He says, hashtag Mavs. Luka and KP cannot play together. That's a fact. Who would you put together with Luka to be a perfect duo? First of all, that's wrong. That is flat out wrong. It's not a fact. It is a very incorrect opinion because all year long, Luka and Porzingis have been very, very good. And this is the first year we're getting with Luka and KP together on the same team. Luka's been averaging 29 points per game, 9 rebounds, almost 9 assists, shooting better than 31% from 3. Meanwhile, the unicorn, that is Kristaps Porzingis, is averaging 20 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, the most rebounds he's ever averaged in his entire career, and over 2 blocked shots, all while shooting 35% from 3. Now, while this is the first year of Luka and KP, the stats as a team have stepped up as well. When you look at what the Mavs have improved on from last year to this year, it's almost not even comparable. 40 wins this year compared to 33 last year. They are 20 losses better than they were last year. They have a better win percentage, and they've jumped from the 14th seed in the Western Conference to the 7th seed. And oh, by the way, although the offensive rating in the clutch is terrible, they still have the number 1 offensive rating in the entire NBA, and that's because you have Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis playing together. Now, I just said it in the last question, but I'm going to continue to harp on it here. It's not about Luka and KP not being able to play together because they have proven time and time again that they can. They're putting up over, together, combined 70 points in the NBA bubble right now. So it's not about those two. It's about the pieces around them. Right now, their starting 5 is with Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Dorian Finney-Smith. Nice pieces, but they're inconsistent, and they've been inconsistent in the bubble. That is who I'm worried about going forward. How are Mark Cuban, Donnie Nelson, and Rick Carlisle going to build this team around those two? Because that is the long-term answer. You sign these guys, you got them for the next at least 5 years. We're hoping for the next 10 years, maybe the next 20 years like Dirk Nowitzki. That's where it matters. So I'm going to ask the Mavs fans, you guys watch the Mavs every single night. You know how they play together. Will Luka and KP work together for the long term? Type Y for yes, or if you feel like Duleve does, type in for no. And I think it's an easy yes. I'm typing my Y for yes. Now let's move on to this next question from Zisham Mohammed. He asks, Jimmy, do you think there's a chance that the Mavs will move up from the 7th seed, or are we pretty much stuck at 7? Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but we're pretty much stuck at 7. And let me break down exactly why that is. They're currently 3 games behind the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 6th seed. So that's your best chance of catching up. But they're 3.5 games behind the Utah Jazz and the Houston Rockets for the 4 or 5 seed. We all kind of expected them to jump up from 7, but after that loss to Phoenix on Sunday night, they are at a 93% chance that they end up in the 7th seed in the Western Conference. Not ideal, because they're going to be playing the number 2 seed. And that number 2 seed is likely the Los Angeles Clippers. Right now, the way the West is going to shake out, it's probably going to be the Lakers at number 1. The Clippers currently sitting at 2. The Nuggets are at 3. They're not far behind, but it's going to be tough for them to make up that ground in such a short amount of time. Then you got the Utah Jazz tied with the Houston Rockets at 4 and 5. The Thunder at 6, Mavs at 7, and the Grizzlies way down at 8, who are not going to catch the Mavs. So luckily, they'll at least be 7th. So we'll just have to wait and see how that shakes out. But most likely, unfortunately, 93% chance the Mavericks are 7th when it's all said and done. Now, we are ramping up our Dallas Mavericks coverage here on the All Things Mavs channel, so I want to make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Scroll down or go to youtube.com/allthingsmavs and hit that subscribe button, because that is where all the best and greatest and free Dallas Mavericks coverage can be found. Now let's move on to Charlie. Charlie says, Jimmy, very hard to see the struggling Mavs. What should we consider a successful run in the playoffs? Start of the season, I would have loved to just make the playoffs, but with one of the best offenses of all time, is it a failure not to get to the second round? It's a good question. It's a valid question, because I know a lot of people are focused on the negative. But let's focus on the positive here for a minute. This is the first time the Dallas Mavericks have secured a playoff spot since the 2016 season. Currently, now as it currently stands, this can change for sure, they have their best win percentage since 2015, in which they had a 61% win percentage. Pretty good, but now they're back up at 59%. The last 4 playoff entrances and the last 4 appearances they had in the playoffs were first-round exits. And those were all teams that were just barely scraping by. You had an aging Dirk, and you were just getting into the first round and doing just enough to push games to 4, 5, and in one case, a 6-game series. That is bad. But now, they're back on the right track. They're out of the lottery, and they have secured a playoff spot. So we need to focus on the negative, and focus on the positive, excuse me. And not only is this year just not about this year, we're focusing on the next 4 to 5 years with this team. This is a team built for the long haul. It's a young team. Your best player, the best player, and possibly, arguably, a top 5 player in the NBA is 21 years old. You've got a solid backup point guard who's hurt right now that's 23 in Jalen Brunson. Your second best player is just turned 25, literally a couple days ago. Happy late birthday, Kristaps. Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber are in for the long haul, and they're only 27 years old. So yes, this year maybe it is a first-round playoff exit, but at least they're in the playoffs. That was the whole goal going into the year. Now, do I want to make it past the first round? Absolutely I do. Will I be disappointed if they get knocked out in the first round? Absolutely I will be. But am I ecstatic that we're back? Heck yes, I'm ecstatic, because that means playoffs and hopefully championships for the next many years. Now, for you personally, what would make this a successful year? Would it be making the playoffs, or would it be something more? Would it be a second round of entrance? Would it be maybe a conference finals? Maybe you're really just aspiring for the biggest and the best. For me, making the playoffs is a success, but I want to do more. And if you want to do more, to keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and do everything you can to avoid the big C, go to chatsports.com/MavsMask1. Go check out these great Dallas Mavericks face masks. You can get them at a great price right now at Fanatics, and everyone you donate, a mask is going, or everyone you purchase, a mask is going to be donated as well. So go check out our friends at Fanatics as they keep you safe and keep you healthy. Now let's go to this question from Guess Who, which I guess is like a Lisp version of the game Guess Who. I'm not really sure. He asks, why only 6 minutes for Boban? I know defense isn't great, but in 6 minutes, he outscored Kleba and Tim Hardaway Jr. in 52 combined minutes. Well, in his first two games, Boban has looked really, really solid. However, he's only played a combined 10 minutes. In his first game against the Houston Rockets, he comes in the last 4 minutes of the second quarter, scores 6 points, grabs 5 rebounds, doesn't miss a shot, and is a +7 in the box score. Then he goes up against the Phoenix Suns. He scores 8 points, grabs 3 rebounds, makes 67% of his shots, and he plays 6 total minutes. What's the deal? I'm asking that question as well, and I don't understand why he's not playing more. Now, I do understand that you can't have him out there against guys like Dario Saric that are going to run him all over the floor. I understand that he's not the most mobile big. But playing him 4 minutes and he helps outscore the team by 7, and then he doesn't come in the second half, especially when you need a clutch rebound on the free throw line, makes 0 sense to me. So yes, Boban Marjanovic should absolutely be playing more in the bubble. He's efficient, he's effective, and if you play him in short spurts, that's fine. Give him 3 to 4 minutes. Let him dominate for 3 to 4 minutes, and then he can get back on the bench because I know he can't play that great of defense. It's frustrating, and I want to see him in the game more. I don't understand what the deal is. So let me ask you, which Dallas Mavericks should be playing more right now? I do think Boban is one of them. I think he absolutely deserves more minutes, especially after that first game. Second game, too. He looked great, and then he never came back in the second half. Another guy I think deserves minutes is Trey Burke, and that's who we're talking about next with this question from Johnny Bravo. He says, should Trey Burke get more minutes and a contract extension for next season? Yes and no. Let's pump the brakes a little bit because it's not quite time to say, oh, I'm going to sign him past this year. But in the bubble, he's looked really solid. First game, I cannot tell you how much he meant to this team. 31 points, 6 assists, 68.8% from the field, 23 minutes. He only missed 2 3-pointers, went 6 of 8 from beyond the 3-point arc. And then, second game, his minutes get cut in half for some inexplicable reason. He scores 4 points, and yes, he did miss a ton of shots. He went 2 of 6, but it's because Rick Carlisle wasn't playing him on a consistent basis. He was giving him short spurts, and he couldn't get into a rhythm, and it was very, very frustrating. So yes, he should absolutely be playing more. But am I ready to sign him to an extension? No. Next year, the Mavs already have 3 point guards under contract. You got Luka Doncic at 21 years old. You got DeLon Wright at 27, who admittedly has been bad in the bubble. But then you got Jalen Brunson at 23, who's injured right now and would be a huge help. Now, JJ Barea is a free agent, and he's likely gone after this year. I expect him to retire if he doesn't sign one more one-year deal. And if that's the case, I'd bring Trey Burke back. I'd probably bring him back on a minimum deal. I wouldn't give him any more than that, but I also think we need to wait and see how he plays throughout the rest of the bubble and in the NBA playoffs. Because anybody in Rick Carlisle's system could go and get 31 points on a given night. That's really not all that impressive. Doing it on a consistent basis is very impressive and is worthy of a bigger contract. So we'll have to wait and see. We might be circling back around to this question once we get into the NBA playoffs. Now, Mavs fans, today I got to answer all your questions, and I love being able to do that. If you want to get your questions on screen for the next mailbag, use that hashtag Mavs and ask whatever questions you have of me, whether it's free agency, NBA draft, the NBA playoffs, or anything else. Use hashtag Mavs and get those questions in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.